Okay, let's dive right into this because we are looking at some truly urgent, privileged information today. Welcome to The Explainer. Now, if you or a loved one are approaching or over the age of 60, you need to know that the biological reality of how your body processes energy is fundamentally changing. Today, we're unpacking the hidden truth about diabetes and aging. We're going to cover what's genuinely happening inside your body, the critical details that standard medical conversations consistently leave out, and most importantly, how the absolute latest evidence proves that you can actually change your metabolic trajectory. I want you to just think about these staggering numbers for a second. Approximately 33% of all Americans over the age of 60 have type 2 diabetes. Add to that another 50% who have prediabetes. Do the math, and that means over 80% of Americans over 60 have blood sugar levels elevated above normal. 80%. That is wild. And a shocking number of these folks either have no idea or they've been given such a watered-down, simplified version of the condition that they have absolutely no real appreciation for the stakes involved. And this brilliantly illustrates the core of the problem, how we actually treat the condition. The standard advice handed to older adults is usually way oversimplified. It goes something like, well, your blood sugar is too high, so just eat less sugar and take this pill. But the real truth? Type 2 diabetes isn't just about watching your sweet tooth. It's a massive systemic disease driven by insulin resistance. It's actively attacking your blood vessels, your nerves, your kidneys, your brain, and it's often doing this for years, if not decades, before a single symptom ever shows up. To truly grasp the gravity of this, we have to zoom in and look at what's happening at the cellular level. Type 2 diabetes is, at its core, a disease of insulin resistance. When your cells become progressively less responsive to insulin, the glucose gets trapped in your bloodstream. So what does your poor pancreas do? It frantically pumps out more and more insulin, desperately trying to force that glucose into the cells. This compensatory overproduction can actually keep your fasting blood sugar completely normal for decades. So you look totally healthy on paper, but beneath the surface, silent damage is just compounding. So why does our vulnerability to this spike so drastically after age 60? Well, it's basically a biological domino effect. First up, we've got sarcopenia, which is just a fancy word for progressive muscle loss. Since muscle is your body's main glucose sink, losing it means losing your capacity to clear sugar. Add in a buildup of visceral fat. That's the deep belly fat that pumps out inflammatory chemicals, plus aging mitochondria and chronic low-grade inflammation. All of this forces your cells to resist insulin. Your pancreas overproduces it to compensate until, eventually, those insulin-producing beta cells are just exhausted. They fail, and bam, that is when the official diabetes diagnosis happens. But hey, it's not just natural aging driving this bus. Physical inactivity dramatically tanks your muscle tissue's insulin sensitivity. And at the exact same time, the very medications commonly prescribed to older Americans, things like corticosteroids, certain antipsychotics, thiazide diuretics, and even statins, can actually impair glucose metabolism. It's kind of ironic, right? The tools meant to keep us healthy can sometimes inadvertently fast-track the development of diabetes in susceptible people. Section 1. The silent systemic damage. Okay, we need to slow down for a second, because what we are about to cover is absolutely crucial. The consequences of poorly controlled blood sugar after 60 go way beyond the typical stuff most people associate with diabetes. It acts as a silent engine of systemic organ destruction. First and foremost, cardiovascular disease. It is literally the leading cause of death in Americans with diabetes. Why? Because combining high blood sugar, chronic inflammation, and abnormal blood fats creates an insanely hostile environment for your blood vessels. It puts atherosclerosis on fast forward, driving a 2 to 4 times higher risk of cardiovascular mortality, heart attacks, and strokes compared to non-diabetic adults of the same age. Then, there's diabetic neuropathy. Chronic exposure to high blood sugar is literally damaging your peripheral nerves. This affects over 50% of people with long-standing diabetes. We're talking numbness, burning pain, and a total loss of sensation, usually starting in the feet and legs. And that loss of protective sensation is no joke. It means a tiny, minor wound can progress into a severe, bone-deep infection without you even feeling a thing. This is exactly why it's the leading cause of non-traumatic lower limb amputations in the US. And the damage to your kidneys? Equally devastating. Diabetic kidney disease, or nephropathy, is the culprit behind roughly 44% of all new cases of end-stage renal disease. The high blood sugar acts like sandpaper, silently destroying the delicate microscopic filtration structures of your kidneys over the years. And here is the truly terrifying part. By the time your doctor's standard creatinine tests actually detect the kidney damage, a significant and often irreversible loss of kidney function has already taken place. It doesn't stop there. It severely impacts the eyes and the brain. Diabetic retinopathy damages the tiny blood vessels in the retina and is the leading cause of new adult blindness. But cognitively, the risks are profound. Adults with type 2 diabetes have about double the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Chronic high blood sugar damages brain blood vessels, accelerates amyloid plaques, and promotes neuroinflammation. This link is so undeniably strong that researchers are now increasingly referring to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes. Finally, high blood sugar critically compromises your immune system. Older adults with diabetes are significantly more vulnerable to severe infections. We're talking pneumonia, urinary tract infections, fungal infections, and their bodies are much slower to recover. As the COVID-19 pandemic starkly highlighted for us, diabetic older adults experienced far, far higher rates of severe illness and death compared to their non-diabetic peers. It's a massive vulnerability. Section 2. The missing medical tests. Now, what's really interesting about this is if this damage is happening silently over decades, you've got to ask yourself, what is your doctor not telling you? Are the standard A1C and fasting glucose tests really giving you the whole story? The short answer? No, not even close. Standard monitoring provides a dangerously incomplete picture of metabolic health for older adults. Fasting glucose is standard, sure, but the critical missing test is fasting insulin. High fasting insulin reveals major insulin resistance long before overt diabetes shows up. Next, the 2-hour oral glucose test catches those post-meal blood sugar spikes that fasting tests completely miss. For your kidneys, a simple urine albumin to creatinine ratio detects tiny protein leaks years before standard kidney tests sound the alarm. And instead of just standard cholesterol checks, older adults absolutely need comprehensive lipid testing to reveal the specific pattern of diabetic dyslipidemia that skyrockets your cardiovascular risk. Section 3, the reversal playbook. All right, let's pivot to some incredibly hopeful news, because this changes everything we've just talked about. Type 2 diabetes and prediabetes in older adults are not inevitably a one-way progressive sentence. Clinical evidence, including the massive landmark DIRECT trial, proves that significant lifestyle interventions can actually put type 2 diabetes into full remission. So let's break down these 7 proven strategies. Strategy 1. Drastically reduce refined carbs and ultra-processed foods. Things like white bread, pastries, and sugary beverages are driving the most extreme blood sugar spikes. Swapping those for non-starchy vegetables and healthy fats gives you immediate, measurable improvements. Strategy 2. Prioritize protein at every single meal. Getting enough protein triggers a minimal insulin response, keeps you feeling full, and, critically, preserves that precious skeletal muscle you need to clear glucose from your blood. Strategy 3 is structured resistance training. Remember how we talked about sarcopenia earlier? Building and maintaining skeletal muscle using weights, resistance bands, or honestly, even just your own body weight 2 to 3 times a week is a metabolic game changer. It directly expands your body's glucose storage capacity and dramatically boosts insulin sensitivity exactly where you need it most. Strategy 4 is incredibly simple but so effective. Post-meal walking. By just taking a 10 to 15-minute walk after you eat, especially after your biggest meal of the day, you can slash your post-meal blood sugar spikes by 20 to 30%. You are literally directing that glucose straight out of your bloodstream and into your working muscle tissue. Moving on to strategy 5, which focuses on sleep optimization. Depriving yourself of deep sleep directly wrecks your insulin sensitivity. If you don't sleep well tonight, you are measurably worsening your blood sugar control for tomorrow. It's that immediate. Sleep isn't just some luxury wellness trend. It is a direct, vital component of diabetes management. Strategy 6 is stress management. Chronic stress keeps your cortisol levels elevated. And what does cortisol do? It tells your liver to pump out more glucose, and it makes your insulin less effective. Mind-body stress reduction isn't just a nice-to-have lifestyle accessory anymore. For Americans over 60, it's basically a mandatory component of keeping your metabolism in check. And finally, strategy 7. Continuous glucose monitoring, or a CGM. These are wearable sensors that measure your blood sugar every few minutes, day and night. And get this, they are now available without a prescription. A CGM gives you real-time personalized feedback on exactly how specific foods, your sleep quality, and your stress levels affect your unique metabolism. It gives you insights that those random, periodic finger sticks completely miss. So, the crucial point to take away from all of this is right here. Type 2 diabetes in Americans over 60 is not inevitably a one-way progressive disease. You absolutely do not have to accept decades of silent damage as just a normal part of getting older. Remission is possible. Reversing prediabetes is possible. The tools are right there in front of you. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. Will you let insulin resistance silently write your future, or will you take control today? You've now got the 7 proven strategies. You know exactly which missing tests you need to ask your doctor for, and you finally understand the real truth about this disease. It's time to rewrite your metabolic playbook. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.